Good afternoon, Coach. We can go ahead and get started with questions if you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Great. Everybody, please raise your hand if you have a question. First question will be from Adam.
Hi, Sean. You got me?
Yes, I got you. Go ahead, Adam.
All right. Just kind of having the better part of the day to review everything. What is the way out of this, generally speaking, as you see it?
Well, I think it starts with our level of execution, our level of complementary football. As I mentioned last evening, it's hard to win when you turn the ball over twice, and you lose the field position battle by 12 yards approximately, I believe it was last night. So, there's a formula here we've used for winning, and we've got to execute that.
Will there be any change in Ken Dorsey's status?
No.
Have you considered that at all?
No.
Oh, the last thing for me will be this, and I've been asked this a number of times today. I think we all know your defensive background and acumen, but given the number of issues you're having to solve right now on both sides of the ball, in your dual role as head coach and coordinator, do you feel at all as if you're spread too thin and you need to maybe alter your approach in some way moving forward?
Well, I think you look at everything, right? Every week you look to make adjustments, the necessary adjustments every week to improve your football team. So those are things that we'll do again this week.
All right, Sean. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
Coach, good afternoon. Mookie Harkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Welcome back.
How you doing, Mookie?
I'm good, Coach. Last night you talked about the inconsistencies in playing two-dimensional. What would be your ideal vision of that, especially with the talent of running backs you have?
Well, I just think overall that you've got to be a two-dimensional threat. We ran a number of RPOs last night, and I think those are a part of that. They can be a piece of that, but there also then comes to when we hand the ball off, what does it look like, right? So we want to be able to do that and do it better than what we did last night.
Absolutely, Coach. And I witness you, hands-on, make sure that your team is prepared to play at an elite level. But how tough is it for you to cross certain things with all the injuries that this defense is going through? And how does it build trust with your younger guys that you're developing?
Well, you're right. We are banged up defensively, and there's a lot of guys that are out there playing that are doing a phenomenal job of stepping in, albeit they weren't scheduled starters for the season, and they're not blinking. I mean, they're stepping into some big time roles, and it seems like we've got a lot of injuries more so on one side of the ball right now, and we never want injuries at all, but they're kind of gathering up on the defensive side. So I appreciate the guys, how hard they're playing. The backup's been ready to go, and that was again evident last night in the second half in particular.
No doubt, Coach. And we played the Class B championship in your house Friday night. I got a few tickets for you if you're in your office.
I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate
it. See you soon, Coach.
All right.
Hi, Sean. You've spoken so much about complementary football. You mentioned also how banged up you guys are on the defensive side. Do you foresee getting away from that at all? I understand that, sorry, I'm in the airport. I understand fundamentally, foundationally, the need for complementary football. But when you're so banged up, do you feel like leaning into offensively the talent that you have on that side of the ball and maybe empowering them, if that makes sense, the offense to be a little bit more aggressive? I guess my question is, does the pursuit of complementary football take away from your aggressiveness on offense?
I think that's a great question. It really shouldn't. And when we talk about it, complementary football is, as much as it stays the same with the same basic core concepts, it also evolves a little bit week to week with where your team is and which side of the ball in this case is healthier than the other. And so, full confidence in our offense. And, And we're going out there to score. There's no breaks on the offense. We're going out there to score and score early and score as many points as possible. So that is the philosophy.
Many fans, as I'm sure your team, your coaches are frustrated. There seems to be a significant amount of doubt, more so than I've ever seen, with all due respect, in you. How do you respond to that? What do you say to fans that maybe doubt your ability to get this ship righted?
Well, that's what we're working on. That's what I'm working on here. And we've won a lot of games here, and for good reason, right? So we've got to continue to make the appropriate adjustments and put ourselves in position to win games. And that's what we're here to do. That's what we'll continue doing.
Thanks, Sean.
Hey, Sean, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. You mentioned after the game last night that you kind of agreed with the assessment that when you've gone up tempo here the last couple of games, that the offense has just generally looked a little bit more in that rhythm that you talk about. You said you weren't sure why it maybe took so long last night to get there. I'm assuming that that's something that you guys reviewed as a staff today. What did you determine there in terms of why it took as long as it did to get to the level of functionality that you eventually reached?
Yeah, I think just, basically the long and short of it is wanted to get to some other styles of play, as opposed to, the quicker upper tempo no huddle or version of no huddle. So, just some things that we can look at and examine as we move forward, really, Jay, more than anything.
On the challenge on Trent's catch or I guess incompletion, just walk me through the communication process there, because knowing that how valuable that timeout was there, I have to think that's one where you got to be almost 100% if you're going to throw the flag. So, what led you to the decision to throw the flag?
Yeah, just the communication that I was getting, and again, I knew how critical it was with the only holding 2 timeouts at the time, and so never want to use those timeouts, and obviously that didn't work out in our favor. So that's something we have to learn from.
And just lastly, for me, you've said earlier that you have not considered any change with Ken, and I guess I'm just wondering if you could maybe explain your reasoning a little bit there, given that the offense is maybe not producing the way at the level that you guys would want it to, that fans would want it to. What is it that you're seeing from Ken day to day, week to week, in preparation that continues to give confidence that he's the right guy to fix this?
Well, I get it. I understand everyone's frustration. I absolutely do, and we're working extremely hard to make the adjustments we have to make, and Ken is doing the same. So I remain confident in Ken and our offensive staff, and we continue to work hard at improving and getting the results we're all looking for.
Thanks, Sean.
Hey, Sean. I wanted to check on Christian Benford and Terrell Bernard, just if you have any updates on their status.
Right, they're injured. We'll see where it goes this week. Christian and Terrell, as well as Micah, and then Dane was injured last night as well. So the news on Dane at this point is he should be fine. The other 3, we'll see.
And just to clarify for Terrell, is he in the concussion protocol then?
Correct. Yeah.
Thanks. And then I was just curious, now that you've had more time to look at the film from last night, just kind of what you saw from Rasul and what you're expecting from him moving forward. Obviously, I know injuries can complicate that, but just kind of, his production.
I thought he did a good job, handled himself well. Short run up to the game as he got here Wednesday afternoon during practice. So he really only had 2 days to practice. So I thought he did an admirable job in getting himself ready to go and competing out there.
Thanks, Sean.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, Ken. We can go ahead and get started with questions if you're ready.
Yep.
Okay, first question will be from Adam.
Hi, Ken, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I guess my first would be, we've talked before about the offensive issues. This has been kind of ongoing. You've talked about execution repeatedly, and ultimately, of course, it comes down to that. But what more can you do as the offensive coordinator? Sean just gave you another vote of confidence here. What more can you do from a scheme standpoint to get to a level of production that'll be successful and that we've seen from this team in the past?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just making sure we're balanced in our approach and how we're doing things. We're balanced in how we're attacking teams, vertically and intermediate underneath. I think we got to make sure that that we're stretching all areas of the field. I think that's going to be a important thing in the pass game. I think in the run game, making sure that we're giving our backs opportunities to get into the second level, and making those guys have to deal with our guys in space. If we could get our guys into space, I think good things will happen. So as much as we can get that done. Obviously, that's the mission in whenever we're trying to do things. But we just got to make sure that one, we're allowing our guys to play fast and confident as possible, scheme wise, and two, allowing them to do so in a way that that threads a defense in multiple different ways.
What's preventing you from getting to that point maybe sooner in games? I mean, we saw an outstanding opening drive, and then the production tapered off, and then the RPO stuff at the beginning of the second half. What's the delay in kind of getting there?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we've got to go. We've got to go out, and we were in some backed up situations there, so we couldn't quite get in that rhythm of the tempo stuff. At times there. So the big thing for us is when we start racking plays together, then you start getting in that rhythm. So I think the big thing for us is just get in that, find a way to get in that groove, however it is. I mean, it could be running the ball, it could be throwing the ball. There's different ways to do this. The big thing for us is not becoming one-dimensional and predictable, and I think that's what we try to do. We tried to open up some series with some RPOs. We tried some drop back pass. We tried some run game, and so we've got to be able to do that to keep a defense off balance so that we don't become predictable. And I think, we have to do that in a way that's efficient for us while still being able to generate some explosive chunk plays when we have these situations, when we are backed up and things like that, because it is harder to drive the 10, 15 play drives. You need to generate some of those things. So we got to find ways to do that.
Thank you, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, this is Jay with the Buffalo News. You sort of just touched on it there, but I'll ask it very simply. Why, when all of your players after the game are saying that they seem to be functioning better in a more up-tempo style, are you not getting into a more up-tempo style earlier in games and more frequently in games?
Yeah, well, we definitely started off in it, this past game. It was something that, we utilized, was effective for us. I think at times there, the crowd noise became a factor with the communication there. So when in some of those backed up situations, so you need some specific things in those situations to make sure you're protecting yourself, so you don't create a negative play and you're now either in the end zone or even more in a situation where you can't function with a full field. So I think those were some factors for us, and not just kind of full going in some of those situations, and utilizing maybe a little bit more of a sugar huddle than a true no huddle at times there. But yeah, I think it's definitely something that we want to continue to utilize. We just got to make sure we're effective when we do, and we can stay on the field and continue to do that. So we're going to make sure we're doing it in a smart, efficient, effective way, and utilize it when we can.
we've heard a lot of the guys use the term rhythm, and in some ways it kind of just sounds like a catch-all term that lacks a true definition. I mean, doesn't rhythm just equal playing better? And if it doesn't, what does rhythm exactly mean to you?
I think that's a great question, to be honest with you. I think rhythm at the end of the day is getting first downs, and moving the sticks and being, staying in positive situations and staying out of the second and long, third and long type situations, and operating in situations where you as an offense can feel more comfortable because you have a little bit more of an advantage, and because the whole playbook is at your arsenal, and you're not limiting yourself because of some of those situations. So we got to stay in those situations and be it play call, making sure that our guys are comfortable in what they're doing, whether that is no huddle, whether that is a sugar huddle, whether that is the type of play, run or pass. So that we stay in those beneficial situations, because then you feel like you're in a rhythm, because you're in situations that you feel like you can be on the attack and you're not getting the exotics at times.
And lastly, for me, sorry to monopolize your time.
Good.
You've had a few guys in the locker room last night saying that they're just trying to execute the calls that they're given, right? And what is your confidence level that your players are fully invested and fully believing in what it is that you guys are doing right now offensively?
Well, I think that they've got a lot of faith in who we are and what we're about. I think, we've got a mentally tough group. We've got a group of guys that have been through things together, and and we've been through some ups and downs, and we've been through some good and bad. So I think we're a group that is able to come together with one common goal, and that's win a football game, whatever it takes. In each game, you got to focus on that game. You can't, and that's all you can do. You got to control what you can control. And, I think that we've got a group that I got a lot of respect for and a lot of love for. I love these guys, I really do. And I want to make sure I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we're putting them in the right position where they feel comfortable that they can go out and play. That goes for the line, that goes for receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, tight ends. Like, hey, let's make sure we're doing everything we're possible as a coaching staff, to give these guys opportunities to go out and be successful. And if we could do that, then I can sleep at night, knowing that we didn't leave any stones unturned.
Thank you, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, if you could, like a little bit of a self-scout after 9 games, in obviously your second season, how do you feel like you've been as a play caller? And has there been any challenges, foreseen or unforeseen, this season that you've encountered that maybe you'd, consider switching things up and moving to the sideline? Is that a continuing discussion? And just overall thoughts on, your effectiveness as a play caller this season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a play caller, there's always going to be things that you're learning from, and you grow from an experience standpoint. Experience, you can't replace experience, whether it's as a player out there on the field, whether it's a play caller calling it, and those things have been extremely valuable for me. And I think I feel like I continue to grow from those experiences. I feel like this year been a lot more being able to get the play in a lot more decisive. Being able to get Josh out there with time on the clock to be able to operate. And, I think that obviously, you're never going to be perfect. There's always going to be things you evaluate and say, hey, would I do it differently in this situation next time or not? But I think just as long as you're looking at those things objectively and you feel confident in what you're doing, that's the most important thing. And they're going to have at times calls that are good calls on defense, and we've got to go out and rely on guys to, hey, get us out of this call and move on to the next play and make sure that we either limited the damage or, hey, they got us here, and limit those times as much as possible by giving our guys answers and giving our guys the flexibility to go out there and if they see something, adjust things. So I think those things are all important as a play caller to understand that, hey, we're going to be in a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different situations, and being able to handle that and adjust and do these different things is extremely important and something that you continue to learn from and grow from.
And did you say, I'm sorry, in there at all, if you've considered moving down to the sideline?
Yeah, it hasn't been something that I've discussed as of yet. No.
Okay. And then, Sean mentioned in game, like guys, it appearing guys not looking like they're open, pass catchers. How would you balance that with what you saw on film versus maybe Josh not, locating open guys in that game yesterday?
I think when you go through the tape, there's going to be times where, look, I mean, they've got a talented defense, and there was times where, it's, hey, they had a good call, and we've got to make sure that we're doing things to, if it's 1st and 10, hey, get us a 2nd and 7 or get us 2nd and 6, those types of things. I think there's times where, you might not win a route, and they get you on that route either with a release or a at the top of the route or what have you. But I feel like we stress all the time that man, it's about, hey, let's go attack these matchups, win these matchups, and quarterbacks make good decisions based off those matchups within the scheme of the play. Zone, it's all about spacing, being in the right spots, and then the quarterback's going through progressions and find those open guys. When we do those things and have that mentality of being on the attack in that efficient type way, I think those things benefit us as an offense. And we got to keep that mentality and have that mentality in everything that we do.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports Cincinnati. How you doing today?
All right. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Can you just take us back to that 3rd and 7 play where Josh chose to go with Gabe on that option route, and you got the intentional grounding call that took you out of field goal range? Is there a need to be more creative in those passing situations?
I think in that situation where we're anticipating man coverage and some pressure right there. I think we were in a play where we had Gabe backside one-on-one with a front side combination, and it's something that going into it, we felt good about the matchup. Whether Josh felt good about a backside or front side, you pick your side and you roll with it. You be decisive with it, and you rip it. And I think that's something as an offense, you have confidence in what you're calling and give them things that in those critical situations. I feel like after talking, hey, we feel very comfortable with operating at a high level. Obviously, right there, we didn't operate at a level that needed to be, but I don't think it was anything from a creativity standpoint.
Okay. Bengals show 0 coverage, then drop in the zone. Did that throw you guys off rhythm? And what did you say to Josh after his pick and cover 4?
No, I think obviously they did that a couple times, and we were able to have made some plays on it. Whether it was a pass, a screen, some different things there, and then obviously a couple. There were some there where I think Josh had to scramble and throw the ball away. But I think that's just throughout the normal course of a game. I don't think that was hey, they're showing us a blitz zero look and bluffing out of it or bringing it. I think those are just normal course of the games that those things happen. The interception against cover 2, obviously that's something that we want to play smart, not conservative, not force that ball. If it's something that there's any doubt, hey, let's work our progression and find that throw in the holes of the zone right there. And that's the stress to him right there, is just making sure in that situation, we're doing everything we can from a ball security standpoint against those zones and working the spots in the zones within the scheme of the play to be effective to move the chains right there. You get 1 first down backed up. You're able to give yourself room. You get 2 first downs, you flip the field, and you start thinking about getting down there and going scoring points. And that's the mentality that you have in a backed up situation. So we always want to be on the attack, but we want to do it in a smart, not conservative type of way.
Coach, one more if I can. Coach McDermott last night talked about being two-dimensional. You recently brought in Leonard Fournette to this talented running back room. Is there a plan to get this running game in rhythm with this up-tempo attack?
Well, I think obviously, you bring up Leonard. He's been here for a short amount of time, so we got to make sure that he's up to speed on things and everything. And we feel very confident with the room that you got. To your point, and so I think there's obviously times where last night we did some very good things in the run game, and as we talked about earlier, some of those RPO things were effective for us, on the throws, and we were able to get some good chunks and good yardage on some of those RPOs within that run game as well. So obviously, it's something that we want to make sure that we can depend on, because we've got a lot of faith in our backs and our line and the guys blocking. Continue to make sure that we give those guys opportunities throughout the course of the game to go ahead and do those things.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, Ken, I know I asked you about Josh and his shoulder last week and kind of how that was impacting the play calling, but I'm just curious, after he fell on his shoulder versus the Bucks, and then he's kind of didn't practice Wednesday, now throwing in warmups, like, is there any adjustments this week in this past game because of that shoulder injury? Were there certain extra things you're not calling? Like, what was the impact yesterday with the shoulder?
To be perfectly honest with you, we felt pretty good about where his shoulder was going into yesterday's game. So we did mix in some quarterback runs. We took some shots downfield. We were a little bit more vertical at times than we had been in the past, because we felt good where Josh's shoulder was at, and he felt comfortable with it. And that's where the communication is important. It comes up, and trusting that communication between not only Josh and our training staff and the coaches, but we felt good with where it was at yesterday, and we were able to mix in all different aspects of our offense.
Is there any limit on him throwing less? Like, I get that, like, he felt good and you were able to do a lot of things, but like with him not throwing as much during the week, is there any impact on that from your perspective, just making that adjustment for him?
In game day time, or just during the practice?
Just like even like leading up to it, like the impact that it has, like during the week and on preparation, like, does that have an impact? Does it not have an impact? Just curious.
Well, I can
Fulton.
speak, hopefully, moving forward, it just continues to get treatment and better and better. The past couple weeks, we've treated a little bit, as a incline, and continue to progress as the week goes on. So, we tried to, Thursday, progress it, as we go on, and then Friday, a little bit more and more from a downfield standpoint of throwing the football, and make sure we're not putting stress on it, too much too early, and we can kind of build that up as the week went on. So that was kind of the approach that we took, this week and last week. And as the shoulder, feels better and better, I'm sure, we'll be able to, continue to ramp that thing up more and more earlier in the week.
And then just one more for me, just curious, Gabe finished the game without a reception. Is there just anything that kind of stands out to you as why that was?
No, I mean, he did. I mean, Gabe just did so many other things that helped our offense, in some critical ways for some plays that were successful last night that just go unnoticed. And so, there was some plays that were designed for him that, unfortunately just didn't find him on those plays. Just gotta keep him involved, because he's a great player for us. And I gotta make sure that I continue to give him some variation, to put him in some different spots, because he really is a great player for us, with extremely unselfish, but can make a lot of game-changing type plays. So gotta continue to find ways to move him, get him going, and keep him as a key figure in our offense that we feel like he is.
Thanks, Ken.
Hey, Ken, I know the practice week doesn't start for another few days, but what have you noticed from, the Denver defense, and do you feel like they're an improved unit now than they were at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, just starting to watch them kind of early right now. So kind of early in that evaluation process. But, the first thing that jumps out is, yes, that they have improved. You kind of see that throughout, their schedule and what they've done throughout the year so far. So they've improved as the season went on. I think they're getting comfortable within that scheme. Obviously, Coach Joseph does a great job. He's had a lot of success as a coordinator in this league. He'll give you some different looks and make things tough on you. So I think for us, obviously, they're coming off a bye week where they can, really kind of take a good look at themselves, and then the opponent this week, which is us. And so we got to get up to speed as quickly as possible and do as much as we can as to put our guys in position.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Ken, you talk about getting Gabe Davis more involved or keeping him involved in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Shakir has really increased his production over the course of the past few games. What have you done to get him more involved in the offense? And why is it seemed like he is overtaken Gabe in terms of opportunity in the passing game?
Yeah, I think, obviously Khalil's done a really nice job coming in and made some plays for us. He's a reliable guy in terms of, he got a great feel for zones, very good route runner, can create separation, faster and kind of quicker than you think sometimes when you watch him. He's got a good knack for the game, good rapport with Josh. So, I think that's just kind of the way the game flows sometimes when there's only one football out there. When you got guys like, Steph and Dalton and then Khalil and Gabe and, the rest of these guys, so unfortunately there's going to be times where, yes, some of those guys don't get the touches that you'd love for them to get because there's only one ball. So, I think that's just kind of been the flow of the game a little bit as we go right here. Tampa a couple weeks ago, Gabe did a great job for us and did some big things with some rack type plays and some getting open and creating separation. So, it's just the ball found him, and I think when we're, again, that cliche, we go out and we execute, and we're doing those things. Typically you're doing that because, hey, we're calling plays and we're trusting it. And we're going to guys based off of where things dictate, not based off of, just, hey, who they are. It's, hey, defense did this. So boom, my read took me here and I gave it to those guys. And I feel like throughout the course of the year, for the most part, Josh has done a pretty good job with that. That's why his completion percentage is where it is.
He had some issues in pass protection, it appeared last night. What led to some of those struggles from your perspective?
Well, I think one, they've got a really good front, and anytime you play a really good front on the road, it causes, it creates issues. And, they did some good things, obviously up front and at times. And I did really like, how we protected for a lot of the night. I felt like those guys battled. I felt like there was some good examples of straining, in terms of, hey, a guy gets an edge a little bit, but that little bit of extra strain and push at the end there kind of keeps him off Josh. And Josh was able to get the ball out on time and in rhythm. So yes, there was some times where they got us and they were able to create some pressure and got to us at times. But, I think just the mix of some of the chips we were able to do and, the IDs and the protection that we were able to utilize, we were able to be effective with some of those different protection. I think the one thing we could obviously continue to expand and do is create some protection variations to make sure we're keeping that D line off balance. So it's not all one thing and they're just seeing the same thing over and over, to make sure that we're helping those guys out up front as well. And that could be some of the play action stuff, the RPO stuff, some of those different variations to help them out the run game and those types of things.
And lastly, how much freedom, if any, do you give Josh to call his own plays on offense?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I mean, there's definitely times where at the line of scrimmage, we got to play in, and a couple times this year, it's he's had it off the line of scrimmage, either because we had issue with the headset or something like that, and he's done a good job there. But he's always got the ability. He made a couple of really good checks for us last night on the line that produced some very positive plays. So he's got a great mind for the game. We got a lot of trust in him. He puts a lot of preparation into it. So when he does make some checks at the line of scrimmage, he's doing it for a reason. And I think that's always the biggest thing is we have a reason for why we're doing it at the line. And you see something, you trust it, hey, go with it. And a lot of times he's able to get us into correct plays with those checks.
Gotcha. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thank you.
Recording stopped.